As I'm a Python software developer and not a data scientist, I haven't really tried out Positron. However, I was working with some charts in Flet to build some dashboards, and I decided to give Positron a look. I downloaded the version for Ubuntu, which is in a deb format. I'm next going to use sudo apt install / and the name of the file. I'm in the directory where the file was downloaded, the downloads directory. So with sudo apt, you can also install a local file. I'm running Xubuntu minimal, and it came up very nicely in the upper left-hand corner. I just had to select it. It automatically placed it into the developer tools. I'm going to start up a project in Python using UV, which I prefer over pip. So it's UV init, and then it's the name of a project, which I'm calling plotly bar. I'm next going to Positron and open the folder that I just created with UV. At this point, everything's looking completely normal. Looks like a normal VSCode or even cursor. At the bottom, there is a Python console, terminal, problems, output. It all looks pretty normal and standard. This console is kind of interesting. I don't normally use it on VSCode or cursor, so I think I'll experiment with this more in a bit. Again, this is the first time I'm ever looking at Positron, and I am not a data scientist. I primarily use Python to make server-side applications, so everything is kind of new for me. And it actually might be new for you too if you are a Python developer that just started to look at Plotly. After poking around a bit, I found a place to input my OpenAI API key, which I did. I configured it in here, and I'll use it a little bit later in the video. It does have an AI interaction, and I'm going to add the Plotly Python package with UV. I'm going to drop in some sample code from the Plotly site, just these 4 lines, and we'll see what we can do here. I'm going to add Plotly Express as well, using double quotes, and have the word express within the square brackets. I'm going to activate the virtual environment just to be safe with source.venv/bin/activate, and then I'll try to run it. It says it's missing pandas. This is nothing to do with Positron, by the way. This is just the Plotly example here. So UV add pandas. So these problems I'm seeing with, like, I don't have the packages installed. It's nothing to do actually with Positron. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Wow, this is pretty cool. It's already opening up in a web browser. The last time I used Plotly was within a Flet desktop application. So I'm kind of liking this experience. I'm also experimenting with the data frames. And in the bottom portion of Positron, if I type the variable data_Canada, it does open up with this nice formatting of the actual data frame. I later learned that on the right-hand sidebar, there's also other ways to access the variables, which was pretty nice. Okay, so I started to stumble around here. I didn't read the documentation. I'm just going kind of trying to do what I feel like doing here without any plan. So I set the renderer for Plotly to VSCode to try to get the graph to appear within Positron. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to add also IPython and try to run it again. And it runs, but it's not displaying the chart. So then I set it back to browser, and within the right-hand panel, the beautiful chart does appear. So it's right within the Positron editor. It's quite nice this way. I was using it with other charts, and I do enjoy this experience. It's actually much better than with the browser. And actually, even within Cursor, I'm using the Cursor browser tab. So I have the browser within Cursor. But this integration with Positron looks even better. So the variables are right there in the right-hand column, and you can see the data frames. So it's quite nice to have it integrated. And it does, I didn't use it that long, but it appears stable enough for my purposes. I did change it to a line. These are all from the examples on the Plotly site. Very few lines of code. It's using the built-in test data. And then I changed it to a scatter plot. I'm just pressing the run on Positron, and it's a very pleasant experience and no glitches to change the charting type and see if it impacts the readability of the chart that you're making. So as a first look, it's looking good. Also on the right of the chart, I later realized that there's a whole bunch of the previous charts that you made in that thing that looks like a mini map. It's actually an index of the previous charts that were made. So I'm going on to the Plotly site, and we'll try another chart that is on the site as an example using the built-in sample data. And this is a different type of scatter chart. And I've been wanting to try this out since we work with the R consortium and maintain their site on Quarto. And as you know, Quarto has these nice interactive charts, ability to embed the Python code in there as well. And even though I'm not a data scientist, it's pretty nice interface. So I'm clicking on the older charts that I made, so you can easily compare the charts or the plots, the graphs, and see which one you want to use to represent your data to tell the story of your application. These are all the default colors on Plotly. Looking pretty good. There's a little zoom here on the upper right-hand side of the chart pane, as it's called. The mouse overs work beautifully. I have it set to, I guess there's a drag. This kind of makes me want to learn a little bit more about data visualization. And so by using Positron, I'm actually having a fun time learning more about charts. You just spend like an hour or something with Positron and Plotly, and you can see what's possible with the existing pre-made charting types within Plotly. And I think Positron makes it quite a bit, like it's a nice experience just to experiment with the different formats. I have never used this sunburst before, so I actually didn't know how to use it initially. But I guess there's petals on this sunburst, and you can click on one of the sections and it will display something new. Let's change it to a different type of sunburst. And the mouse over is working great. And I finally figured out you can click it on the inner circle, and then it'll change the view to just that portion of the data that you clicked on. And then I figured out if you click on the center, it goes back one step. So pretty cool. And I had never used this type of chart before. So that's one of the many things I learned from just trying out this new tool, Positron. And it's kind of amusing just to keep clicking on it, especially with this nice colors and the nice mouse overs. So I realized that the other one I was looking at also has the same capability. So I went back to it just to play around with the clicking and the different views of the interactive data. Let's try something else here. And it's this Gapminder data that's built into Plotly as the sample data. And I had an error message with this one, and the error was that it was missing numpy. So that error is actually kind of good because it allowed me in the future to test out the AI capabilities of Positron. So you see that fix and explain, those are actually buttons to access the AI tooling. I didn't realize it at first. This was a more complex sunburst that was built into Plotly. And I should have mentioned before that Positron also supports R, which I'm not testing in this video. People are probably most familiar with R Studio, which is kind of the gold standard for R. But there's a lot of nice features in Positron. I also use R Studio, and it is good. Positron does seem pretty nice here. The data has the variables for the session. So even though I deleted the data Canada from my code, it was in an earlier version, so I still have the data there. It's kind of nice in case, as you're working on your code, it does save the data frames for the session itself, not just the existing code. So you can go back and refer to your older data. I think the team behind Positron, they're probably pretty familiar with data science workflows because they built R Studio. And so I think that it feels pretty smooth, even though it's a new editor. It seems like they have a lot of these nice features for the workflow. And I finally figured out that explain does connect to the AI. And I have the AI explanation. It's actually at the top of this. I'm actually looking at the bottom of the response now. I finally figured out that I need to scroll up to read the top of the AI. I'd asked a question before, and it gives a nice explanation of the error and how to correct it. The AI features I did implement with OpenAI. It does have the explain and fix portions of it. So it doesn't work quite like Cursor. There is a chat for the error, but I didn't test to see whether it has a full access to the entire code base. The code is pretty small right now. And again, I'm looking at this for the possible inclusion of this editor in this course that I am building. It's a free course. I stumbled on to Positron as I was using flat charts, and this one is actually Plotly that's embedded inside of flat charts. So I was building these pure Python mobile desktop web applications for this course to help out our students. So if you are interested in a free course to learn more about Python, I encourage you to also check out this course. Have a great day.